So, about 2 years ago, on my 24th birthday, all of my friends were there. It was a good time. And after we're drinking and eating, it got time for us to cut the cake. We cut the cake and I blow out my candles and we sing happy birthday. And we do the thing where we ask, are you one? Are you two? Are you three? So we go all the way up. We get to 24, and most of the people in the room start groaning, kind of. They're like, oh, which kind of surprised me. At the moment, I didn't really think much of it because I was so happy to get a cake and to have a party and have a good time. But as I think about that, as I get older and older, I just think to myself, wow, that's really weird that the people closest to me or the ones that I assume care, they have a weird thought when it comes to age. I've noticed that our generation, especially our generation, Gen Z, we have this weird notion that if you get a certain age, you're called unk or whatever, right? And that has its own problems in terms of stealing African American vernacular and warping its meaning. Unk has a respectful term from its origin. I've grown up all around people who would use unk describing elders and older people in our community that had wisdom, or older people in our community that were genuinely there to help. Also, those would be people in their 40s and 50s. They wouldn't be calling their older brother who's in college Unc. They wouldn't be calling their cousin who has a full time job Unc. You would genuinely have to make it to a certain age to be called that, which is crazy because, Gen Z just takes things out of proportion when it comes to terms, but that's also a white thing, just taking and not really understanding where it's coming from and warping its definition. So I thought about this when I woke up. We don't respect old people. And this has probably been a thing for a long time now, but especially with our generation, we have this weird relationship when it comes to age. We expect people to be really young, right? 18 or 19, even whenever they're near us or around us. We don't expect people to be in their 20s or mid 20s and living a life. I'm a very outgoing person. I like to do a lot of different things. And lately, I have been one of the older people in the group when we're having fun. So for those that are getting to know me, they get to know me, they have a great time because they vibe with my personality. And then months later, they learn how old I am and they freak out. They freeze and they start saying, "Oh my gosh, like it's over for you. You're unk now. You're gone. Your life is over." I just turned 26 years old. And for a lot of people, that may sound like a lot and that may seem like I'm quote unquote washed or it's all down here or whatever. But that is not old at all in the slightest. Yes, I'm 26 years old. If you are 20 years old and you're my good friend, we are 6 years apart. And we're 6 years apart. We've been friends for so long. You haven't thought about my age at all during our friendship. And then when you learn about my age, that's when it gets strange. But nothing changed. I'm still the same person. I'm still your friend. Also, we grew up the exact same. We're in the same generation. I'm I guess I'm on the I'm getting closer to the middle side of Gen Z, but at the end of the day, we all watched the same things growing up, right? We all watched SpongeBob, unless you're in a household that was weird and said no SpongeBob. But we all watched these different things. We all experienced this government in very different ways. We all went to the same, like we all had the same high school experience. So I don't understand how me being 26 makes me immediately old or makes me not able to connect with you. We grew up the same. We went to school in the same environment and we're going to be in the same retirement home. You think retirement homes are separated by 2 to 3 years? You think you're 6 years younger than someone and their life is completely done and you're not close behind? No, you're not close behind. You're in the same circuit. You're in the same exact division, right? I don't like how we treat people who have age gaps like that. It doesn't, and it's not, I keep saying age gap as if it's really big. No, it's only, you only start thinking about it when you bring intimacy and other things into account. But even still, it's not big. I I think we don't respect old people. There's a certain type of wisdom that gets to you when you are old. And calling someone who is 4 years older than you and you're 22, calling them old and washed, that's not true. They're not old, they're not washed. You are in the same, you're living the same life that they're living. Also, you think you're not going to be 4 years older in 4 years? That just doesn't make any sense. And again, it's disrespectful to those people who are old. I'm talking people in their 60s, 70s, 80s. I met someone who was close to their 100s. And yes, I described them as old, but that wouldn't affect how I thought about them. I wouldn't look at them and go, yeah, they're really, really old. I don't think I respect them. They're old. Their life's over. You don't think that when you see somebody of that age. You think, man, they know so much. Man, they know so much from a time that not many people can really recall. They know so much from a time that books just can't tell us about. There are history books about most things of the human experience, but at the end of the day, living through those times is infinitesimally more different and more enriching in terms of knowledge and experience than reading about it. It's not the same thing. So I think it's really disrespectful to people who have gained a certain knowledge that you can only gain by living a long time. The people that had to learn and live through things, and we're just sitting around calling people in their mid 20s old. You look at people who have genuinely seen this shithole of a country change in so many different ways over so many presidencies and so many waves of activism and feminism. You've seen black people being treated in low key the same way since this country's inception, but you've seen so many different versions of that. And you don't, the first thing you think is, you think, oh, they're old, they're washed. You don't think, wow, that's a lot of wisdom. Or you look to someone who is literally your age mate and you call them old. That's what I'll never understand. I don't get that. So I just want people to understand that it's disrespectful to people who are genuinely old and genuinely have that wisdom to call someone who is literally your age mate old or washed. Or, oh wow, did you know one of my, he's not really my friend. I thought he was my friend. It's kind of weird, but he's my roommate. But he's like, oh, anytime I meet someone or we're playing around with some people or we're hanging out with them and they hear our age, and then I tell that to them and they take it respectfully. They're like, oh wow, that's cool. When did you start college? Or, oh man, that's okay, that's awesome, blah blah blah. Bro goes up and he says, did you know he's 5 years older than me? Isn't that crazy? And then I look over to the person I'm talking to because they clearly are of more importance. And I go, yeah, we literally do everything together. We grew up the same. We're gonna go back to our place that we lived together in, by the way, and he's gonna beg me to play Splatoon with him because that's one of the only things that we relate to. And he looks over at them, shaking their head, saying, no, no, he's lying. We're not. So it's easy for me to ignore people like that. And this goes into my next point. I'm definitely going to disregard people who see the full me and reject it, right? You expect me to accept all parts of you as true, but you can't accept me. Or you have this weird notion of what it means to be old, and you choose to push that onto me. Nah, nah, I'm not gonna deal with that. But that's for another video. Guys, respect your elders. That starts with truly defining what an elder is. If somebody's a few years older than you, sure, they have some experience that you don't have, but also they're not geriatric. They don't have the wisdom of somebody who's lived that long. Don't disrespect those who have lived that long by calling people your age mates washed. Also, don't give up on your life. Having this mentality, saying that your life is over when you turn 22, that deals some psychological damage that's very difficult to overcome. You can't just think that and then go about your day to day at your full time job after graduating college, or dealing with the day to day of taxes, your chores, going out and meeting people. With that mindset, obviously, you're not going to go out and you're not going to meet people, and it's going to suck. Your life will suck if you constantly have this thing running in your mind that you're old and everything should be over for you. That's not true. Your life isn't over. Still keep fighting.